Well, you guys, I figured I would send this 2020 out with a big bang. I know a lot of you guys have asked for this video for a long time, and it's definitely different to what I typically do, but you know what? I figured now is the time. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my car. I know I've been hinting about this throughout this past year, about a car that I have, but I figured I finally have gained enough confidence to make a video of it, because this is definitely different than what I typically do. So this right here is my 2019 Subaru Crosstrek Limited. This I got at the end of 2019 to celebrate graduating from school and basically starting a life out on my own. And I just gotta say, I cannot believe I've come this far in life. And to this day, I still don't know how I did it. I still don't know how I got my own car. This is the highest trim Crosstrek that you could get in the year 2019, and the absolute fabulous Quartz Blue Pearl. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. Just this blue, nothing hits as hard as this blue does. I looked at the red as well, but I mean, this blue, I'm so grateful I went with the blue at the end because it's just beautiful. It's got these beautiful backward star rims that are only standard on the Limited. You can't get them on the base level or premium. It's only on the Limited, and they just look so cool. I mean, that was the first thing that got to me, were these rims, and they're so awesome, especially when this car is in motion. It just looks so cool. Give you a little profile shot. Just a cute little crossover SUV hatchback. Covered up my license plate because that's nobody else's business other than my own. You got the Subaru, and of course their fantastic symmetrical all-wheel drive. I'll tell you what, with this kind of weather, this is where the all-wheel drive system just is magic. And I got my Crosstrek from the Boardman dealership, and I love that dealership. They're very professional. Everybody's fantastic there. I highly recommend Boardman Subaru if you're looking for a new Subaru. And I keep this little new driver tag on my car because, you know, why not? I'm probably never taking it off. As you can see, I have my backward parking assist sensors. That really, I mean, just are fantastic if you're backing into a spot and you don't really know how far away you are from like a curb, from your car. It just really helps, and I think those are just fantastic. Another profile shot. My gas tank, I didn't clean him because I figured, you know what, a Subaru typically looks best when it's a little snowy and salty, and I figured I'd keep him a little salty. You know, why not? And that is my driving companion, Duke. And of course, I have a purple steering wheel cover. I mean, seriously, I am the queen of being extra. Towards the front. All right. So that's enough talking about the exterior about this car. Why not take a jump inside of my car? Let's go. So before we jump on inside of my Crosstrek, I figured I'd show you the little welcome lighting that this car has, naturally being a Limited. I got this with the LED packaging because, you know what, incandescence on a 2019 car, it's just not necessary anymore. LEDs are just so good. Why would you want an incandescent on a 2019 car, you know? And I just had to go with the LED trim because I love LEDs. I'm just sick of seeing incandescence on a car. So as you can see, as I got close to the car, that's the welcome lighting. It lights up the little Subaru badge that's inside of my rearview mirror. And my interior lighting is lighting up, as you can see. Once again, with that nice white LED shine. I don't know if you can see it in the back one, there you go. And another thing that this car has that I absolutely love is the lock and unlock chirp. I don't really like that horn honking when you lock and unlock your car. I just don't think that's necessary. And in these Japanese cars, you know, such as Honda, Toyota, and Subaru, they have the nice little lock and unlock chime, as I'll show you here. Look at that. And of course, if you lock the car as well, it does the same thing. Now this button's a little bit interesting when the weather gets colder because naturally it's a little bit harder for me to push. But you hit it twice, everything's locked. You unlock it and the car gets unlocked. How about that? All right. And on the inside of this little guy, I have the all-weather mats, and as you can see, they're kind of dirty. I figured for this video, this would give the car a little bit more character, simply because this car does get a fair amount of use on-road and even off-roading. Even though it's not really a full off-roading car, you can do quite a bit with the all-wheel drive, and it's a really fun car to just play around with and get dirty with. There's my fuel tank door right there. And my steering wheel under this fabulous fuzzy steering wheel cover is of course leather. And it looks so good. It really does. I really think it complements it. And the only reason why I have it on this car is simply because we don't have a heated steering wheel yet. And especially in this weather, it's a necessity. And I don't really know why they didn't do that. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I just got myself a fabulous steering wheel cover and it just looks really good. You got this really nice leather stitching all along the doors. And this really nice looking carbon fiber accents on the inside of the doors as well. It really gives this car this really sporty look. Of course, you can fit a whole bunch of masks and whatnot inside your car. You have automatic windows for the driver and passenger side, but just regular ones for the back. And of course, I keep this button on. But you can have the back windows off as well. So if you have kids or something, they can't accidentally put down the window. This is, of course, for the rear view mirrors to adjust them. Lock and unlock. And, of course, my door handle. I won't reveal what this is for yet. I'll show you that in a little later. Of course, got to keep the hands clean. Got to stay clean and fabulous during these times. So I got some hand sanitizer, but you can stick a water bottle or whatever you want. You can put your wallet right there. Plenty of storage in this car. Let's go ahead and get inside of it. So, of course, as you can tell, now being of course smaller than the Forester and the Outback, it's not necessarily as big, but there's still plenty of space in this car. It does not feel cramped at all, which I really like. This is the steering wheel. Whoops. Hopefully I didn't wake up the neighbors with that. But let me tell you what though, there is button galore in this car. So this is what the steering wheel looks like, and it does have the actual orange stitching. It goes around, all around this car to give it really that just sporty feel. I mean, it's fantastic. It's the little things that Subaru does in these cars that just make it worthwhile. And the fact that it's not even a luxury car, it just feels like one. The presentation could not be any more fantastic on this car. So that's, of course, for your stereo and whatnot. This is for a little LCD screen. You have different sort of settings and whatnot that you can do with the car. And then this is for the EyeSight, which I'll get to in a little bit. It's one of my favorite features of this car so much, and I cannot believe it has it. It's just such a great feature. But as you'll see, there is button galore down here. This is the steering response headlights that, well, if you're driving, any way that you steer the car with the steering wheel, the lights will point in that direction, which I like. I don't really know why you'd want that off, but you can have that off. This is for the dimming adjustment. of all the gauge clusters and all the LCD displays at night, so you're not being blinded with the lights. And this is for your blind spot monitoring system, which is really nice too, because Subaru is all about that safety, and they just do a fantastic job with that. And there's a couple extra buttons as well. On the 2020, this would be the start-stop button for this car. Since this is a 2019, this does not have start-stop, which I'm fine with, because I don't really get a start-stop system in a gasoline car. In a hybrid, that's fine, but when it's gasoline, it's just not necessary, you know, and I'm so grateful that this doesn't have start-stop. It just functions the way that I want it to. The engine's on when the car's on, and the engine's off when I turn it off. No sort of on, off, on, off. I just find that so annoying and uneasy. I have really bad anxiety, and I just don't like that in a car. There you go. One of the 4 vents in the car. I have complete with my Sharp plasma cluster and a little Yankee Candle air freshener that I should probably replace soon. And here is the nice little infotainment screen. Now, this isn't the really large one like that's on the Legacy and the Outback, but you know what? It does more than enough. How many LCD displays should we have in this car, Subaru said. And you know what? At the same time, they said yes, because we have 3 LCD displays in this car. So if you love LCD displays, you'll love that. I think just the standard, not so fancy, if you will, gauge cluster is available on the base level Crosstrek and the premium, but on the limited you have this really nice just LCD screen that's all in color, and it just looks nice. Of course, got a fan of my car. I mean, why not? And that's that. You have a CVT Jatco transmission in this car. I personally do not care for Jatco transmissions. I don't really like CVT. I prefer an automatic, but you know what? It's what's standard in the limited, and that's just the way it is, you know? So, just got your standard Jatco CVT transmission. And of course, you have a actual real parking brake. You don't have a button one. I think the only one that has the electronic parking brake is the hybrid model. Okay. I just added this little cup holder here since I do have my little aromatherapy diffuser. That's what you saw over with the water bottles and the essential oils. I do a lot of aromatherapy in this car because why not? I have my umbrella on the floor because it was a little rainy yesterday, and I got some lotion too, and I got some hand wipes. I got everything. But without further ado, let's turn him on. So of course, being a limited, any of the top trim Subarus, I have a engine start-stop button that is, of course, a push button. Now, the keys are nice too, but I don't mind this at all. So without further ado, let's bring this little guy to life. And there you go. Sometimes it does take a little bit, I've noticed, from my actual infotainment screen to boot up when it's cold outside, but there it goes. Subaru Starlink. And this always comes up to basically tell you, hey, you know what? You're in a Subaru, drive safely. And there you go. And the one feature, I'm not sure how to show it when I'm on a video, is I do have CarPlay too, but you also have the option of having Android Auto as well. So right now my engine is idling very loud, but you can see this beautiful, and I mean just this beautiful LCD display that's just showing this sort of and of course my other necessities. I have this little solar powered figurine that spins like a fan. It is also an air freshener, but I just got it because it spins and it looks pretty. It's kind of gloomy outside, so it's probably not going to spin, but on a summer day, it really spins. So you can see all 3 of the LCD displays working together. Of course, this one on top, I have a couple different modes. You can put the car in to see all the good stuff. This one here is part of the Subaru EyeSight and of course the braking system. If I put my foot on the brakes, you can see my lights light up in the back. Isn't that cool? You can see the gauge clusters and whatnot. And there you go. So let's go ahead and go outside and check out what's underneath that hood. To get to the hood, it's underneath this galore of buttons. And let's go ahead and get out and check out what he's got underneath the hood. And here is underneath the hood. This is basically the heart of my Crosstrek. We have a 2.0 Boxer engine on the inside. And I think if anybody's ever owned a Crosstrek or driven in one, the 2.0 is a little bit underpowered for how powerful this car can be. Now, luckily, Subaru did listen, and in 2021, well, actually, they've already got their 2021 lineup out. How about that? They made the limited and the new Sport Edition Crosstrek. They made it with a 2.5 engine instead of a 2.0, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, it's not too different, but it doesn't feel like you don't have enough power to pass someone or quickly get out of a possible dangerous situation. I could listen to this Boxer rumble all day long. It just sounds so good. But the nice thing about it is it's super easy to take care of and clean because everything's all exposed. I mean, that's just absolutely fantastic. All right. And of course it's telling me that there's a winter weather advisory, which is always nice. You can turn that off, but it's always good to stay safe. That's what Subaru's all about. You can see the gauge cluster. Of course, all the miles I've driven in this car. He's still relatively new. I was expecting to do a little bit more driving, but you know, with COVID and everything, it kind of ruined it, but that's okay. You have sort of the other settings with this car, which is really nice. There's plenty of information to take into this car, that's for sure. I typically just keep it at that. Once again, I mean, this just looks so good. They've done such a good job with this LCD screens and whatnot. I mean, that's just so nice. The vents, I feel like, could be a little bit different because it's kind of hard to just position the air where you want to, but that's just a minor gripe. Of course, being a limited, this does have the automatic climate control. It was just standard on the limited, and it was an option on the premium. 2019 below that, but now on the 2020 and above, everything is automatic, which is nice. I like the automatic over just the manual ones. I like to have the car help me decide. Of course, you have your park anywhere buttons, which I'll just show you that real quickly. Now, another gripe that I have is the, I don't know if you can see or not, the LED headlights, running lights as I should say, and of course the steering response lights are LED, but the turn signal lights and of course my fog lights and especially all lights at the back, those are all incandescent. I don't know why they didn't just put LEDs as well, but it's another thing I gotta work on because I want pretty much this whole car to be LED. Not just a little bit, everything LED. But you know what? It gives me something to do for 2021. And of course, whenever you open and close the car with the keys in it, it does beep at you to let you know, hey, your keys are in the car, which is really nice. So let's go take a look at the back of the car. Now, of course, being a crossover hatchback, it's not too roomy, but it's also not too bad either. course, right behind me is my Philips Go Pure air purifier, because I gotta have the freshest air and a really fresh looking car, you know, why not? Of course, I have my snow remover. I got plenty of mass in this car. Once again, following with the really nice just leather stitching and just these leather seats. It's very roomy back here. I mean, for what it is, I don't need all that room, but there's plenty of room to go around, I guess, if you want to have a little COVID party in here. Not really able to practice social distancing, but you know what? If you only are just by yourself all the time and enjoy being alone and probably will just be alone, that's also nice too. There's only one sort of space where you can put a lot of your stuff. I wish that there was a little pocket right here. Only one there, but that's okay. There's no vents in the back. There's no sort of USB, which I think is kind of sad, but it's okay. Oh yes, and as you can probably tell, there is heated seats. It's just low and high. I did put a little sort of luxury add-on because I did want heated and ventilated seats. I definitely wanted that in a car, so I went onto Amazon and I actually picked up my own. That's what this little cover is right here. It doesn't really match necessarily, but it's still leather and it looks good enough. But it's got this little control here. It does massage too, which is, you know, not really necessary, but it's on there, but it does heat, which I use it. And of course it has the fan, which you can hear. And it's really strong in the summer. I mean, you don't get hot, and I really like that. Now, one more thing, let's take a look at the trunk. Let's see what we're working with back there. And let's go ahead and open up the trunk. So it's not automatic, which I kind of do wish it was a power lift gate, but that's okay. This is the trunk area. Once again, we actually used this car to move a statue from Lowe's to our house. I don't know why we did, but we did. So it's been a little bit dirty, but it's okay. I have an extra USB charger just in case if I lose mine. I have another diffuser just in case if mine were to fail, and I do have extra essential oils in there, but that's pretty much it. I also do keep this little cargo cover on top so nobody can peek on through and creep on the goodies that I got. So really, that's all there really is to it. I do plan on doing a video of this car, just driving it around and whatnot, but I ran out of time and I figured, well, before this year ends, I'd at least show you this car in operation. So there you go. But before we do end, as I promised, I would at least show you some of the features, of course, of EyeSight, because that is one of my favorite features on this car. So, what is EyeSight? And why is it important to this car? Well, Subaru's EyeSight is basically adaptive cruise control. It's the little driver's aid that they've developed to make driving a lot safer and a lot easier with these cars. So on this little galore of buttons on the steering wheel, you have, whenever you turn EyeSight on, it shows a picture which could be easily presumed as either a Crosstrek or an Impreza. Since really all a Crosstrek is just a lifted Impreza. That's really all it is. It shows what probably looks like a little Impreza, really. And if there's a car in front of it, these little EyeSight cameras, which they tell you not to touch, but they're kind of out in the open, so you got to be really careful, especially if you have a little garage door opener. If you put your hands like this, it's very easy to accidentally touch them. That's the only thing I don't really like. They are kind of encased in the plastic, but still, I'm very nervous about touching them. You turn on the EyeSight system, and that lights up. So it'll basically match the distance of the car that's in front of me, and it'll speed up and slow down if it feels. If the car stops in front of me, so will this car, which is really nice. You can put a distance between the car in front of you. I like to keep it as far as I can because you know what? There's no such time as having too much reaction time and not get into an accident. This is lane keep assist, which works really well. It'll keep you in between the lanes if it sees a lane. If not, you kind of do have to rely on yourself, because remember, this is not a self-driving car. This is just a car that helps assist the driver in making some decisions and to possibly avoid the consequences. It just works really well for that. Of course, with the car in park, it's not going to do anything, but you can go up in 5 increments to the speed that you want to set a cruise control at. If you don't really like adaptive cruise control, which I don't really know why you'd spend all this money to not have adaptive cruise control and not like it, but anyways, if you hold down the button right here, oops, let's see where these lanes are. If you hold this in, actually, it would probably make sense if I had it on. It also works as just standard cruise control too. It won't slow down or speed up with the car in front of you. It'll just stay at one speed. But once again, I bought a limited, so why would I spend all that money and not use adaptive cruise control? It just doesn't make sense. And of course too, this has a backup camera, which is fantastic. I think all cars now have the backup cameras, which is great. There's just no reason for you not to have a backup camera. And you have the trajectory lines right there, which work really well. It's just a great feature to have. And of course, check surroundings before backing up. You do have reverse auto braking, which is very similar to the collision prevention system with the EyeSight system. There's little sonic sensors, which you saw when we were outside of the back of my car, little buttons. If you happen to back into something, which I'm not gonna do, the car will beep at you and it'll actually apply the brakes so you don't cause an accident, which I think is fantastic. Why should I show it when you can go out there and try it out at your local Subaru dealer? It's just such an experience to have. And of course, putting that back in. You also do have a couple different drive modes too. You have, of course, I don't know if you can see, it's all lit up in the drive, but you also have manual mode, which goes by that little right there, which you can actually paddle shift the CVT gear ratios, if you will. Now, let me tell you what, CVT is very weird to just paddle shift in because it's not an automatic, it's just its own kind of system. It just feels a little weird for my taste, but you know what? I guess if you want to just have that sort of like, instead of having the car figure out what sort of gear ratio it should be at, you can decide as well. So that's basically all there is to that. So everyone, there you go. You have requested I show a video of the car that I drive, and I figured, you know what, this would be a great little send-off to 2021. So just lock this bad boy up, and there you have it. That is my 2019 Subaru Crosstrek Limited in the Quartz Blue Pearl. I wish all of you guys a fantastic New Year's, and I hope nothing but the best for you. Thank you, guys.